Hello everyone, today is 27th of March. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Now friends, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we'll take a quote from Srimad Bhagavad Gita about the meaning of karma or the meaning of action. According to the Bhagavad Gita, the meaning of karma is in the intention. The intention behind the action is what matters. Those who are motivated only by the desire for the fruits of action are miserable, for they are constantly anxious about the results of what they do. Now, guys, it is not merely a philosophical dictum, rather, it is also a kind of a principle that is needed to be kept into the mind by the civil servants. Often it has been said that civil servants need to do the selfless duty, and the selfless duty that they are doing is nothing but the true karma or the nishkam karma. Now, guys, as the karma is defined by the intention, the selfless duty is also defined by the lack of interest in what they are doing. Now here lack of interest doesn't means that they don't want to do good, rather they don't want to do good for themselves. If such kind of intentions will be there, then the karma done by the civil servants will also be the good karma, and they will be fulfilling all the duties which have been mandated onto them by the virtue of the constitution, by the virtue of the spirit of the service. So guys, please do utilize this particular quote into GS paper number 4 into the values that are needed for the civil servants. So, guys, that is all. And now we'll be moving to the newspaper analysis in detail. Now, guys, taking up the first article, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it talks about certain of the recommendation given by the NK Singh, the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. Now, guys, you might be knowing that recently the 15th Finance Commission's report has been submitted to the parliament, and for the next 5 years, the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission will be operational into the center state financial relations. Guys, when we talk about the Finance Commission, you already might be knowing that it is constituted by the President of India under the Article number 280 of the Indian Constitution, and it recommends the vertical as well as horizontal devolution of money between the center and the state. Now, guys, coming to the news. So, the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission had made some of the recommendations with respect to the health, and by quoting his reference, you can provide it into your answers in GS paper number 2 under the topic of health. So, first recommendation that he has given, it is about the health. He says that health should be moved into the concurrent list into the schedule number 7. Right now, health is into the state list. Now, it has been provided that by moving it into the concurrent list, the center government will also get the power that they can recommend the regulatory change in order to provide the good and effective health to the people, because often it has been seen that the state governments are having a kind of a lax approach. Then it can also help that the center can reinforce the obligation of the state governments onto the health if we give this particular subject into the concurrent list. After that, guys, the second recommendation has been made. It is a very good thing which has been told. It has been provided that the entire population of India can be divided into the four quarters onto the basis of income. So there are the top quantile, then there are the bottom quantiles, and in middle also there is a section of people. So here NK Singh has provided that this top quarter can be covered by the commercial interest. They can afford the commercial interest, so their health expenditures are taken care of. After that, government had came out with the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, under which the government is providing the assistance for the treatment into the secondary and tertiary care. Up to 5 lakh rupees assistance is given. So the bottom two quantiles can be covered here. However, in between there is a missing middle class which is too rich to be covered under PMJAY and too poor that they can afford the commercial interest. So for them, we need to provide the customized insurance products. So therefore, even a argument has been made that a universal health insurance scheme should be unveiled by the government of India so that all the population of country can be covered. Guys, you might be knowing well that approximately 59% of the health expenditure that is being done, they are out of pocket, and by that particular thing, there are many a times when the above poverty line people are also pushed below the poverty line. So therefore, penetration of insurance, health insurance, is very much necessary. After that, guys, it has been provided that there is also a need that onto the lines of developmental financial institution that government is creating for the infrastructure development, we also need to provide a DFI for the healthcare so that it can finance the healthcare facilities into the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and so that the people can get access of the good quality healthcare. Further, guys, there is one more recommendation. First of all, it has been provided that the government needs to enhance the funding for the healthcare. Right now, approximately 1.4% of the GDP government is spending for the healthcare, and it is needed to be increased to 2.5%. And this 2.5% increase was even recommended into the National Health Policy of 2017. Further, it was said that after increasing the budget, the state government in particular also need to focus that at least 2 by third of their total health budget is going for the primary health care, because the primary health care is a keystone pillar for the good overall well-being of the population. So guys, these are some of the recommendations which has been given, and they can serve as a full-fledged way forward for your health related answers. Please do utilize it. That is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the ruling made by the Supreme Court onto the electoral bonds. Now, guys, from past few days, we are discussing electoral bonds. Even yesterday, into the Hindu newspaper, there was an editorial, and we discussed all it. Now, guys, first of all, if you don't know anything about the electoral bond, please do refer to the yesterday's newspaper analysis. There, I had explained it all. Now, guys, what has been there? We have seen that the Association of Democratic Reforms ADR made a petition to the Supreme Court to stay the sale of electoral bond for the upcoming assembly election into the states such as the West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, etc. The reason was this, that there is a large number of opacity into the electoral bonds. Now, as the matter was being heard by the Supreme Court has allowed the sale of electoral bond for the assembly elections. Supreme Court has answered some of the contentions which were raised. Now, guys, the number one contention for the electoral bond was the anonymity. It is never revealed that who had donated the electoral bond. So, into this particular matter, the Supreme Court has provided that there is no complete anonymity, because the transaction is happening through the banking channels, and even the payment is made by the check or made by the electronic transfer, so that at the end of the day, banks are knowing. So, if there is any kind of problem, it could be accounted in. After that, it was provided that the corporate houses, they are providing huge funding to the political parties. So here it has been provided that it is first of all not a bad thing. Well, we provide the right to the to the corporates that they can fund the political elections. Secondly, even when the corporates are buying the electoral bond, they have to fulfill the KYC norms. And secondly, when the corporate spending is there, the money which has been spent, it has to be reflected into the balance sheet of a company. Thirdly, it has been provided that the foreign corporate houses can buy the electoral bond and can influence the elections. So onto this particular thing, it has been provided that everybody is not entitled to buy the electoral bond. They can be purchased only by a person who is a citizen of India, or for by a company which has been incorporated or established into the India. Then, guys, fourthly, there was said that it can again be misused, because the bond which are being actually bought by the white money at the end of the day can be repurchased by the black money, and then that money can be given. So here the Supreme Court had said that these electoral bonds are not tradable. So therefore, this particular thing is also very much baseless, and it is based onto the assumption. So therefore, onto all these particular grounds, the Supreme Court has allowed the sale for the electoral bond. Now, guys, these particular grounds you can utilize if a question comes into the exam where you have to critically analyze the electoral bond. So all the lack of transparency, opacity, etc., and the points that we have discussed into the yesterday's article, you can use it as a criticism, and these points you can use as a support. So that is all about this particular article, guys. It could be a very important topic for your GS paper number 2, electoral issues in India. So that is, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, here we can see that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi had made a first physical visit to a foreign nation after the pandemic of COVID-19 erupted, and this first visit had been made into the Bangladesh. Now, into past few days, we have seen that this particular year Bangladesh is celebrating the triple celebrations, because of number one, the 50 years have been completed since independence, the 50 years since the diplomatic relation between India and Bangladesh, and centenary of the father of the nation of Bangladesh, that is Bangabandhu Mujibur Rahman. Now, guys, when the Prime Minister was onto the visit, he had used some of the phrases. First of all, he had mentioned about the Operation Searchlight. Now, what is Operation Searchlight? This was the military operation that was carried by West Pakistan into the East Pakistan, which now became Bangladesh. And this particular searchlight was an attempt to curb or to crush the Bengali nationalism which was thriving. And guys, it wanted to silence all the opposition, whether the political, whether the military, whether the cultural. So this was a kind of a anti-humanitarian effort. Then he had also mentioned about the Mukti Jodhas and their representative he has also met. Now the Mukti Jodhas were the freedom fighters for the Bangladesh, and particularly they played the role of the guerrilla fighters. So guys, these two particular terminologies were into the news. There could be a question into the prelims onto such particular kind of things, so please keep it into your mind. So guys, that is all. And apart from this, the substantial agreements or MOUs have not been there. Just both the leaders of the countries, they have shared the warmness that India is sharing. Moreover guys, into the last few days, many of the editorials into the Indian Express as well as in Hindu also, we have seen onto the warmness between the India and Bangladesh. So guys, that will be much more than sufficient for our examination. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Friends, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks that how the parliamentary democracy had suffered into the year of 2020-2021. Now guys, these are some of the examples which you can utilize if a kind of a question comes, that how into the recent times the test of democracy has been there. So now taking up the article, first of all guys, we can see that in the 2021 there was the very less number of sittings into the parliament, one of the lowest ever. In total, Lok Sabha just sit for 34 days and Rajya Sabha just sit for 33 days. Now, guys, this happened because, first of all, the budget session in the last year was curtailed because of the pandemic of COVID-19 started. Then, guys, the monsoon session was also curtailed. Then we have seen that the winter session was entirely scrapped. And even the 2021's budget session has been reduced because certain of the MPs had to go for the election campaigning for the elections that are coming into the assemblies. So therefore, it has been provided that what is the cost of the reduced parliamentary sitting? Number one, there has been a less legislative scrutiny, which is the major role of the parliament. Secondly, the accountability of the executive has also been very much less. Now, guys, taking up these matters one by one. First of all, when we talk about the legislative scrutiny, we can see that into the 2020-2021, there have been 13 bills which have been introduced into the parliament, and many of them had passed also. But guys, the fact is that none of the bill has been referred to the parliamentary committee, and actually parliamentary committee has many a times played a much important role for the scrutiny of the bills. For example guys, into the insolvency and bankruptcy code, it has been seen that many of the valuable recommendations were given by the parliamentary committee. They were endorsed, and actually the IBC became a very good kind of regularization. Now guys, we can see that into the present session, the government came out with, for example, the government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Bill 2021. Now the purpose of this particular bill is to change the governance structure into the Delhi. Substantial powers have been given to the lieutenant governor. Now this particular bill was introduced on March 15 into the Lok Sabha, passed into that particular house on March 22. Into the Rajya Sabha, it was passed into the on March 24. So here we can see that within less than 10 days, this entire bill has been passed. After that, the next bill comes is the Mines and Mineral Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2021. It amends the Mines and Minerals Act of 1957. Here, guys, the captive and non-captive use distinction has been diluted. Here, the power has been given that even the industries who have been given the mines for the captive use, they can use it for the other purposes also. And here we can see that this particular bill has also been passed into a much hurry. Within a week, the bill has been passed. After it, the next bill is the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill 2021. Now it creates a new infrastructure financing institution, and it even invites the private players to play an important role. Now this particular bill has also been passed within the 3 days of the introduction. Then the next comes the bill with respect to increasing the FDI limit into the insurance, that is the Insurance Amendment Bill 2021. Here from 49%, 74% FDI has been allowed. And in all, this particular bill has also been passed within just a week's time into both the houses. And the 13 bills have been introduced into the session, 8 of them has been passed. And in such a hurry, the bill has been passed that it raises that whether an actual scrutiny, effective oversight was there or not. So this is a kind of a declining role of a parliament. Then here we can see that Then guys, here we can see that the role of the parliamentary committee is also declining. The number of bills that are being referred, they have been continuously reduced. For example guys, 60% of the bills were referred to the parliamentary committee into the 14th Lok Sabha, and 71% were bill referred into the 15th Lok Sabha. Now guys, it has came down to just 27% into the 16th Lok Sabha and just 11% into the 17th Lok Sabha. Then guys, apart from this, there are other issues also. For example, it has been seen that into the recent years, many a times the money bill classification has been used to pass many of the legislation into the Rajya Sabha, just even to bypass the Rajya Sabha. It was seen into the Aadhaar Act, where the bill was introduced as a money bill, and now guys, into the present Finance Act that has been passed, the LIC's holding structure has been changed. So this is a kind of a non-money matter that has been raised into the Finance Act. So just the parliament wants to evade the Rajya Sabha. Then guys, the other issue that comes is right now there is the deputy speaker which is entirely missing into the parliament. Now there is specifically article number 93 which provides that the House of the People shall as soon as maybe choose two members of the House to be respectively Speaker and Deputy Speaker. Now, guys, when we talk about the Deputy Speaker, usually it is elected within a couple of months. But into the present Lok Sabha, it has not been chosen up till now. The 2 years are about to pass. Now, guys, earlier also this particular thing has happened. First in 1998-99 period, when for 269 days there was no Deputy Speaker, and now, guys, presently also such kind of thing is happening. So here we can see that here the parliament has been deteriorated. Now it is not the first time that such kind of thing has happened. Earlier also such deterioration was there. For example, we can take the example of the monsoon session of 2008. Now guys, the monsoon session was continued up till Christmas. And the reason for this particular thing is that, guys, there is a kind of a rule into the parliamentary proceeding that the no confidence motion cannot be raised twice into one particular session. So guys, what happened, the monsoon session was extended into the winter session so that a no confidence motion cannot be raised. This is actually a problematic thing. Moreover, in that particular thing, there was also one more interesting development happened. There was the passing of 8 bills into the Lok Sabha within 17 minutes. So it shows that again the deliberatory role of the parliament has been declined. So guys, there is a kind of an important thing that is coming to the fore, that the values of liberalism, values of participative democracy, representative democracy is going down day by day, year by year. So onto that particular matter, a kind of awakening should come into the minds of legislator, executive, as a judiciary also, that such kind of thing should not be carried. Guys, please do utilize it if a question onto the decline in parliamentary democracy comes in GS paper number 2. So that is all, and now we'll move to the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the fire that broke into one of the COVID-19 hospital into the Mumbai. Now, guys, this particular event has been very much tragic. Many of the people have been died, and particularly one thing comes here is that into the recent times, many of the fires have broke into the health facilities into the time of COVID-19. Into the Rajkot also, there was a fire that broke out into the hospital. Now, guys, first of all, when we talk about this particular hospital, it was established into a mall particularly for the COVID-19, but it is not clearly known that whether it was completely equipped for meeting the fire related hazards, and even it is not known that what was the initial reason for the fire. Now guys, often it has been seen that into the industrial accidents, the fire into the hospital becomes very much deadly. There are certain reasons into this particular direction. The reason number one is that into the hospital there is large presence of the incapacitated patients, and in case of a fire they cannot work for their own safety. Then guys, there is also the oxygen suffused environment because of the presence of the oxygen cylinders, etc., and they provide a rich fodder to the fire to spread. Then there is plenty of air conditioning by which again the fire spreads, and there is also a lack of sufficient physical spaces which creates a devastation because the mobility is very much restricted. Now guys, there is the advisory given by the National Disaster Management Authority in 2016 to deal with the hospital fire fires, but these are not regularly followed by the hospitals. Now, first of all, let's have a look onto these advisories as they can serve as your suggestions in terms of reducing the forest fires. Number one, it has been provided that there needs to be the sufficient availability of open spaces to move patients into an emergency. Now, the emergency can not only be the fire, there could be the earthquake and all such kind of things. Then it has also been provided that it is also needed that there needs to be experts who assess the quality of infrastructure, that whether it can withstand the fire. Specifically, electronic installations, they are needed to be seen whether they are having all the safeguards with respect to short circuit and all such kind of things. After that, there is also a need of retrofitting of the structures with the flame retardant materials, and the triaging of patients is also needed to be there. Triaging of patients need to be there, that the hospital is not needed to be overstuffed with the patients. But guys, this particular thing personally I believe is cannot easily be followed because there is a severe shortage of hospitals into the India. Then further guys, there is one more recommendation that was given by the Supreme Court after the Rajkot hospital fire. The Supreme Court provided that there is a need that a special officer should be tasked with seeing that all the fire safety norms are being followed into the COVID-19 hospitals or not. But this particular thing has also not been done, and into this particular thing, the states are on themselves to be blamed for the fires that are being breaking into the hospitals. So guys, this is all into this particular context, and into the paper number 3, disasters under the man-made disasters or anthropogenic disasters, the hospital fires could be an important dimension because many of such kind of things had happened into this particular year. So guys, that is all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and basically it talks about the political crisis that is going on into the Israel. Basically, guys, into last 2 years, there are 4 times the election that has happened into the Israel. Basically, into the Israel, forming a coalition is becoming a very much problematic task. Now, guys, when we talk about the Israel, into this latest elections, the largest party which got the votes, it is the Likud party, which is being led by the Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the present prime minister. But guys, he is facing the charges of corruption as well as other embezzlements, and into this particular capacity, forming a coalition for him might be a difficult task. So all those such kind of possibilities have been discussed. Now guys, this particular situation is very much evolving, so therefore it is not very much needed that you should go too much into the details of this particular article. Just a kind of a very brief overview will be more than sufficient. So guys, that is all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. Friends, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the rejections into the RTI. Now, here some of the important data has been given which you can utilize into your GS paper number 2 related answers onto the RTI, transparency, and all such kind of things. Even in GS paper number 4, where right to information has been mentioned, you can utilize it. So, guys, what has happened? The information has been revealed with respect to the rejection of the RTI, and in 2019-20, 4.3% of the RTI applications have been rejected. Now, this is a kind of a good thing as the rejection rate is not very much high. Now, guys, we can just to put the things into the context, can see the rejection rates into the last few years. For example, in 2005 and 2006, the rejection rate was 13.9%. And after that, it has been reduced progressively. In 2014 and 15, for example, it was 8.4%, and now it has reached to 4.3%, which is a kind of a good thing. Now, guys, 13.7 lakh RTI application was received by the center related agencies. So this is also kind of a data which could be utilized. After that, guys, moving forward, so this is a kind of a good thing, but at the same time, the news is not entirely good because it has been seen that the 40% of the applications which have been rejected, they have been rejected without invoking a valid reason. Now, see, under the RT Act, there are the grounds to reject an RT application. Now, these reject grounds are, for example, the information might not be given which would endanger life and safety, or the one which involves irrelevant personal information, cabinet papers, foreign government related information, copyrights, sovereignty, security, and intelligence matters. So these could be grounds, but in 40%, no ground has been given. Moreover, guys, it has been seen that the RT applications which are given to the Prime Minister's office, the ones which have been rejected, in them, in 90% of them, the ground had not been invoked. So this is a kind of a serious development, and it shows that still much of the improvement into the information sharing is needed to be there. Then guys, further here we can see the breakup ministry wise, that who had rejected how many of the RTA. And here we can see that the home ministry has rejected large number of RTAs. 20% of the RTA have been rejected by it. Then guys, into the Ministry of Agriculture also there have been increase into the reduction. We can see that the Agriculture Ministry rejected the 2% application in 2018-19, and now 4% has been rejected in 2019 and 20. Though such kind of hairline data is not very much needed, but guys, these broad trends you need to keep it in your mind. So guys, that is all about the today's newspaper analysis and the important articles. I hope that you are understanding it. Guys, if you like it, please do hit the like button and please do spread the initiative. Thank you so much.